Welcome, everybody, to Ballroom in Conversation. My name is Kenya Garcon from the House of Garcon. I'm also the co-chair of the Capital Ballroom Council, and I want to welcome you all to the first of a series of conversations with ballroom leadership. Today, we're going to focus really on some issues going on in the community that we're all pretty familiar with. HIV, COVID-19, and some other health disparities going on. For a panel today, we're going to have four people. We actually tried to get someone in from the ballrooms, from the Kiki circuit, but she had some issues, so she wasn't able to join. So I'm going to introduce our panel, and here we go. Hi, everybody. We have one more person coming in.
Hi.
Hey, everybody. So, I see it looks like Jamel is on. Oh, and our last person is coming in right now. Dante. All right, great. So, for our viewers, again, welcome everybody. So, we're gonna start with some introductions. Just give us your name, how long you've been part of the ballroom scene. Your name, your house, and how long you've been part of the ballroom scene. We can start with Shannon.
I'm Shannon Garcon. I'm in the House of Garcon. I've been in ballroom for about 32 years now. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Next up, let's go to Deja West.
Hi, I'm Deja West. I'm the East Coast mother for the House of the Captivating House of West, and I've been in ballroom for like 17 years now.
Okay. Awesome. Welcome. Next, we'll have Dante Balenciaga.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dante Balenciaga, from the House of Balenciaga. I'm the East Coast father. I've been in ballroom for 13, I think going on 14 years this year. I'm happy to be here. Excuse my appearance. I actually just got off work. I'm still at work.
It's all good. Thank you so much for joining us. We have one other person, but it seems they might be having some technical difficulties. So when they join, we'll have them introduce themselves. So I want to jump right into our questions. We're currently in the 39th year, approaching the 40th year of HIV in our community. And also World AIDS Day is coming up on December 1st. As leaders, we all know someone that has been affected with HIV in our community. So the first question we have is, that's not it. How have you supported members in your house and the greater community that have been affected by HIV and encourage better prevention activities to prevent the transmission of HIV? Anybody can go first.
Well, I'll go first. Well, outside of ballroom, I'm a medical case manager and a benefits coordinator. So I'm always speaking about prevention and supporting others who need the support when it comes to HIV prevention and things like that. Um, when it comes to my babies in the house and HIV and other STD awareness, I speak the truth. Um, I let them know that I have linkages and testing available for them if they need it. Also, if housing or food disparity is a problem, I'm also able to help with that as well. So,
Thank you. Yes, Deja is a great resource here in DC. I'm going to transfer to the second person on my screen, Shannon.
So I'm gonna say, unfortunately, I'm not a resource like Deja and Dante. They do this job, and they've trained for it. I'm kind of old school, kind of the grandma, where my let me say it's kind of a twofold. And to say, for me, my generation was a generation where they didn't talk a lot about HIV publicly. Yeah, there was on hushed tones. So a lot of my experience with the house members have been through private conversations, giving them the resources and directing them to people where they can still keep it to themselves. Um, finding a lot of resources, and even been at many times being the place of refuge for them, a safe place where they've stayed with me and helped them, take them to hospital, to doctor's appointments and stuff like that. And that's been the bulk of it. That's been the bulk of it. And for the new generation, I point them to them for resources. They know where to go to get medication, the programs if they don't have finances to get it done. For testing, that stuff is easy to talk about for the kids. But I tend to, when it comes to resources, let the younger generation deal with that one.
Awesome. Thank you. Dante.
So similar to Deja, worked in the field now for like years, right? I guess like over 10 years now. Very familiar with the different resources in the area. So aside from what I do in my everyday work and from helping with different organizations and committees and things like that, sharing resources and care and all of those type of things. From a house perspective, just making sure that the members have the knowledge, whether positive or negative, making sure that they know what's out there, the resources that are out there, that I'm here to answer questions, that, having conversations with me is a private space, and it's always an open door where you can come to me, you can talk about something, and know that your business is not going to be shared with anybody outside of that, which I think is one of the biggest things. Because of course, we have stigma and all of that still around. So making sure that they feel comfortable enough to come to me and talk about those things and making it less of a taboo topic and subject.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. And the next person, he's going to get double questions. Introduce yourself, your house, how long you've been in ballroom, and the question on the screen.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Jamil Khan. I've been in ballroom since 2004, which is about 15 years. To answer your question, how I've supported my members in the house and the greater community, pretty much I'm like the auntie, the mother, everyone comes and cries their shoulders on. So really being able to hold up my members, I literally am like counseling them, talking to them every day about resources, what they can do, how they can do it, what's the fastest way they can get to it, who can be their strongest connection. So just being like that person that has all the resources and just uplifting them through trying to get through a process, because everything is a process, and I feel like sometimes people don't know how to get through that process. So that is my strength for lifting up and supporting my members and the greater community.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for joining us. All right.
Thank you. Sorry about the lateness.
It's okay. Technology is sometimes not our friend, right? Okay. So, as we know, we're still in the national coronavirus pandemic. Excuse me. Some parts of the country have begun opening venues that have allowed in-person balls to take place. However, everywhere it hasn't, right? Everywhere it hasn't. And as we some of the other things we know now is that some places are actually starting to close again. If you see on the screen, I'm going to show you the map that was taken yesterday of coronavirus transmissions. Right? So as you can see on the screen here, there's no state that's really taking in the right direction, right? Most of it are uncontrolled spread at this point. So we're experiencing a large amount of transmission happening as we are getting into the colder months, as was predicted, right? We knew this. So, my question to you is, how do you support ballroom activities but ensure members in the community, your house members and the general community, follows guidelines to reduce transmission rates? I will start with Deja this
time. It's pretty hard. For one, the mask situation, like, you can tell someone to put their mask on over and over again and they'll either comply or not. But at the same time, I let them know the the fairness behind it of why they're asking you to wear your mask or why they're asking you to social distance. And as of right now, I would just feel like the kids really are like paying it.
Mm.
They're just really like just completely paying it. I mean, it'll be people in the ball with their mask on, yes. But not everybody would wear one. And I sometimes don't feel like the younger generation pays attention to the news or anything like that.
Mm.
So I'm always constantly asking them to put their mask on or here go some hand sanitizer, wear it a ball or something like that. But collectively as a house with the rest of the house leader, we do make sure that we practice what we preach as well. So
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna switch over to Shannon next.
I thought you was going to Dante first. I was all here in my own little world, all comfortable. Corona's a little different. I think, and I think I speak from a different place than my colleagues on the panel with me, only because um, I'm one of the founders of a house, and I think for me makes it a little different because I know in my house, if I say I'm going to do something, a lot of people follow me in the house. Um, just for if I say I'm going to go to a ball or I'm not going to go to this ball, I know half my house is not going to go just because I said I'm not going. And I look at the Corona thing as the same thing. That there's, as a leader, you have influence over some of your members, not all of them, but some of them. And I know if I say me wearing a mask or starting how I approached this pandemic was back in March. I know as an adult, I can't tell somebody you can't go to a ball. I can't tell them that they're adults. You can't say that they're going to do what they want to do. It's not going to work. So I kind of work through the roundabout way. I'm not going to buy a table at a ball. You can go, but y'all going to have to find your own tables and everything like this because I'm not going to support you going to a place and jeopardize your health. I'm not going. So if I'm not going, we're not buying no tables. You want to go? That's on you. You won't say Garcon, Shannon made me go to a ball. And then we started talking about it. We started talking about as a house what was happening with COVID. We did our little therapy sessions, our touching. I caught it. I know how experienced it was, and I told to the house how bad it was. They saw what I was going through. I think that opened up eyes for a lot of people, knowing someone very early who had it and going through what's something. But for the most part, this house has kind of went along with it. Now there's some outliers, and we all have it. We know that certain cities are more open than others, and they don't see the disease like we see it or treat like that. And it's a little harder, especially in the South, as opposed to us up north. You still have to deal with that, and that's in any house. No house is getting away from that. Certainly, we all know that certain cities going to do that. But for the up north, we can't have balls, and people saw it in real time. DC, Philly, New York, we saw the havocs of Corona in the early beginning. I think it was easy for people to say, listen, we're going to just sit this out for a while until things get better. Now, with that said, we all know that we all have people that are just going to break the rules and do what they want to do anyway. You could say, put your mask on, but 2 days later, you catch them in the club with their mouth, mask on, party and doing that. We all have those. And there's always going to be those people. But for the most part, I think it starts with leadership. Most people will follow what they see their leaders do. And that's just how you have to approach it.
Awesome. Before I move over to Dante, I want to ask you a couple questions because I remember when you had it. You one of the first people I knew that had a run-in with Corona, right? What was your thought process? What was your thinking like? Being a leader in the community, being who you are, and and that happening to you. What were your thoughts like?
I was like, I need to get my phone clean. I need to get the room cleaned out here, and everything put away. So when my girlfriend come to this house and I'm not here, they won't be talking about, look what they found in that lady's house over there. That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about I was going to die. And I was like, listen, when I die, who's going to make sure my face look right? Because somebody's going to make me look like the Joker in a casket. So no.
I remember when you said that. You said, you think you. I never forget that call. We said, "This is it.
Yeah,
this is gonna take me out."
I was ready. Seriously, I really thought I was gonna die, and I got quiet for a while because I was coming to terms that if I die in here, kind of like, what are people going to say about me? Just going through your whole life and see what kind of person you were. But that's what I was really thinking about. Was like, wow, this is going to be it. And I lived a good life, and I did some good stuff, and I had some good times, and I lived my life to the fullest. That was all that was going through my mind.
Yeah, and I have a couple thoughts. Like, I wish more people are open about their experience with it. And I also wish more members of our community would get tested, because, if you know the virus, you can have it and not get sick, transmit it to somebody else. That's what makes the thing so deadly, right? And the only way to know is if you have it, even though getting the test is not even 100% accurate. But, 50-40% is better than nothing in my book. So, thank you for sharing that. I have a few more questions about Corona, but I want to pass it over to Dante.
So, where to start? Yeah, put the question back up there one more time. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So, my answer is kind of similar to both Deja and Shannon. I think that one, even being a leader, you still, you're a leader, but most of the people in your house are grown adults. Though we may call them our kids and everything else, they're still grown adults. So I think similar to how we approach risk management and other factors of the field in the community, is drugs and all that, where it's kind of like you find risk reduction ways to kind of coach people, and you give them all of the information that you can. And then you're hoping and you're relying on them to make the best decisions that they can make for them, hoping that it'll be the least risky ones that they make. So what's that look like? Wearing your mask, sanitizing, washing your hands. If you're gonna smoke, don't smoke your own stuff. If you're gonna do the other stuff, have your own utensils or have your own bag if that's what you're gonna do. Because at the end of the day, people are gonna do what they're gonna do. Don't drink out to somebody else. So, because we can preach all day and say, hey, look, stay away, don't do this, don't smoke, period, don't da. As we've seen time and time again, people are gonna do what they want to do. So it's our responsibility to arm them with all of the information and all of the risk reduction ways in which we can, so that if they are choosing to make these more risky decisions, they're putting themselves less at risk. So I think one of the biggest things, like I said, is providing them with the information. I think that ball promoters who are choosing to still have balls during this time should take the appropriate steps to making sure that they're getting masks that are donated, or even buying masks for the people who come to the ball and don't have masks on them, to provide them with. Reach out to somebody with some hand sanitizers, like the little pocket ones. Have whole little kits for the people when they're coming in, because that too will take down some of the risk, because some people may not have it, they may have forgot it. So then that cuts down your risk too, because you're gonna have a ball, you're gonna have a lot of people there, maybe not as many as you normally have, but you're still getting a nice amount of people with these balls that are happening right now. I personally haven't been to a ball since all this has happened. I actually haven't been nowhere up until I did go to Mexico for my birthday, but that was a small group of us. And then I went to Atlanta a few weeks ago, which in my head, I was actually nervous out of my mind, but I was masked the whole time. And I kind of came to the conclusion that I can't just stay in the house for the rest of my life. So I was like, what does this look like? And I said to myself, wearing a mask, doing this, doing that, still watching my interactions, but taking precautions. And so for me, that's how I look at it. As far as from like a house perspective, when it first happened, our first thing was, we're not really going to no balls. Like Shannon said, we can't tell them don't go at the end of the day, because they're grown still. But at the end of the day, we weren't forcing anybody to go to balls. It actually stopped people from having to pay dues. We said we're not even collecting dues right now because some people were out of work. Some people, are having to provide for other things, whether it's like medication or food, whatever it is. So we just stopped dues altogether. Actually, we still haven't started back collecting dues yet because we're still in this pandemic. So we just stopped dues altogether. We did a lot of Zoom stuff in the very beginning, just like check-ins. I know on another call that me and Shannon were both on, he mentioned that the House of Garcon was doing that as well. So it was like a lot of Zoom check-ins and even hosting like Friday night parties, and we would play music and had some lights going and people would have their drinks and stuff and everybody's in their house and just talking and laughing and having fun on Zoom together, keeping people virtually and off of the streets. As the CBC Council, the Capital Ballroom Council, we came up with having a virtual ball on Bigo. That way the people can still get their life, showcase their categories, and at the same time be in their home, still earn some extra money if they wanted to. So I think one of the biggest things is finding innovative ways in which we can try to, again, reduce the risk of people contracting this thing.
Awesome. Thank you. So you touched on a number of things. And you actually segued right into my next question. The ballroom scene has once again shown its resilience, right? We keep on being very resilient to whatever is being thrown our way. There have been balls in parks, and of course, there have been virtual balls. And it's become a constant way of people, kind of like Dante said, show their, experience, practice, get out there and make some money. Do you think virtual balls are here to stay?
Oh, yes.
Anybody. Who wants to go first?
I think it's temporary.
You think it's temporary?
I think it's temporary as well. It's nothing like being in the atmosphere of the competition. I mean, virtual is okay, but I can't cuss a bitch. I mean, I can't cuss somebody out the way I want. I can't read my competitor the way I want to read my competitor over the screen because I need to be in her face.
Right.
But are they going to be around for a while? Yes, I do believe that because that's another outlet for people to promote whatever they're trying to promote at the moment or whatever coins they're trying to bring in. So I think it's going to be around for a while, but even probably after we get this pandemic cleared up, which is probably going to be a long time, but I believe it's temporary.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Shannon, do you want to chime in on that? Shannon's grinning.
Yeah, because I think it's temporary for us. As in, no. Let me explain. Let me explain what I mean by us. I mean us color folks.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and for me, I look at everything as almost like a business, like how it's going to be right here. And so what I'm looking at this is we found a way, as always, to deal with the crisis that worked in our benefit. What we're not good at is monopolizing and monetizing what we find to the benefit of our own community. And so I can see us getting back into physical balls again. That's going to happen. We're going to be back to normal. That is going to happen when I don't know, but we're going to be back to normal, back on the runway doing what we need to do. And I can also see our other counterparts doing some type of global online virtual ball, having people from Tokyo and everybody come in doing that, and doing it their way with our idea.
It's funny you said that because, if Dante remembers one of our virtual balls, we had someone from South Africa. We had someone from all parts of the globe was coming to compete against each other. So it's very interesting to see, what may happen, because I think, the virtual balls do present an opportunity for people to compete against each other internationally. But to Deja's point, there's nothing like that energy, right, of being in the ball. It's the energy. Even if you're not even walking, there's an energy that is just pumping in the room, hearing the commentary and the music, hearing the chanting, hearing your house chanting. It's an energy that you just cannot replicate online. So
But the people Shannon's talking about don't know nothing about that.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
They don't know nothing about that.
Right.
They don't know that.
Right.
They don't know that. What they do is they just see it and they're like, oh, that's so cool and all
Right.
that. They don't know what the real ballroom essence is.
And
I mean, that's the same way with some of the organizations.
yeah.
Mhm.
But you know what? That's our blessing and that's our curse. You know, I
Yes.
always say that is both. I think as a community, we know it means we don't realize the value that we have on some of the things we own and we produce, because a lot of times, even myself, we get more into fighting amongst each other over silly stuff, never advance into the next thing. And the one thing I've learned, and I said this on the very thing, and Dante Balenciaga was part of this too, was we just did like this vote the campaign. Everybody was doing vote campaigns on some form of fashion. The community was very engaged in that, and people were trying to get us engaged. One thing I took out of it, and Kenya Hurry mentioned this, was kind of they're watching us. They're watching us. They're watching to see what we can, how effective are we talking to our own people, and how are we talking to our own people, and how are our own people reacting to us. And they're trying to figure out that, and they're going to take that and use that and make money off of that, off us.
Yeah,
They already doing it.
they're already doing it. Go ahead.
They already do it, and we can't figure out how to do it on our own, or how. And I don't even know. It's like we don't know how, and you don't realize after it's over, like, damn, they got me. They got me. I fell for this.
And it's funny because I totally agree, because I was supposed to be a part of something that was recorded during that whole part, and I don't think they particularly cared for my my answers or my piece that I added to the conversation that was recorded for the finishing product. So it ended up coming back, and it was a thing of like, oh, his voice was a little too low and it was noise in the background, and so we had to cut him out of it. And I just was like, I went back and thought about the stuff that I said during my time in it, and I was like, oh yeah, they probably didn't really like that much. And then I had like one of my DV's design shirts on with the fist like on as I was recording and everything. I was like, oh yeah, they probably didn't care for it too much. And so I think it's important for us to make sure that when we're being asked for stuff and they're bringing us to the table, that we're still authentically who we are, and we're making sure that we're representing and that we're not just being tokenized and used.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jamel, do you want to chime in on the question? The kind of question kind of like has spawned into something else. We started talking about, do you think virtual balls are here to stay? But we roll into another conversation. Anything you want to add in?
Well, I would like, first of all, let me apologize. Technology is not my friend today at all. However, I do think virtual balls are here to stay. A lot of people that are a little more intimidated to get on stage and perform in whatever respective categories they may have, they are not as intimidated to do it on their screen in their home. They're a little bit more comfortable, even though they may not know all the people who's watching on whatever type of platform. But I've found that a lot more people are comfortable, especially the younger generation that doesn't have as much attitude, if you will. They're way more comfortable at home than they are on stage.
You're not cussing somebody out like Deja says she want to do.
Well, we all know Deja.
They show our age. They talk about age.
They just straight up said, "I need to get my
next ball. I'm gonna tell you a piece about mine."
No shade, but shade. Sometimes I think that people need a little bit of cussing out. They need a little bit of cussing out. We need a Deja around every now and again. The kids getting out of control.
Like, I'm not gonna text nobody. Wait till I see at the ball. Hold it right until I get to the ball.
Exactly. But that's just my take on it. I just feel like, I think they're definitely here to stay, being as though COVID look like it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Right. Since a lot of people are going back into phase 1. So we have to have something to do. I think people are getting very frustrated, and that's definitely a stress reliever.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's winter time. They got a lot of stress relievers.
I'm sure they should.
They are coming up right now. Summer's over. They try to get booed up. Holidays are coming, and you're a good pick if you got a job. You're a good pick.
Keyword was this.
Jamel, and you said something good. Like, a lot of states are going back to phase 1. Maryland went back to phase 1 today. New York, I know they're about to start closing everything early. So, we have to wait and see because we don't know what's going to happen with this vaccine. We don't know when it's going to really come out. We hear every time we get a date, it gets pushed back further and further. So we really don't know. I want to drop in a light question right now, just so people can get to know you all. What's been the highlight of your ballroom career? I am going to actually go in the opposite direction. I'm going to start with Jamel.
Yikes. Well, let me just think. I would say my highlight of my ballroom career is probably, I would say walking Butch Queen Up in Pumps. The very first time I was petrified in New York, it was for the Latex Ball. And if you know, back in the day, the Roseland Ballroom, when we used to have the Latex Ball, it was huge. I think Deja was with me that night. And my little behind was in like these little pom-pom shorts and like this little shirt. And I'm not the typical person that wears that. I'm definitely your hoodie and a good jean and a good shoe type of guy. So it was just really a little awkward for me, but I had to get the courage and build the strength to really get out there and do it. That was definitely a highlight for me and my ballroom career. And then competing against Monty and DC at the Edge in that back room.
That legendary back room.
Oh, that legendary back room. If you're from DC, you definitely know about the Edge, how we miss her and how we miss that back room. And I think that's probably those two moments for me were really big in my ballroom career.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Since you mentioned Deja, what has been a highlight in your ballroom career?
The highlight of my ballroom career, I think, would be when I got the respect of being a mother figure. When I came out in ballroom, I didn't have that mother figure there for me, and I knew what I wanted a mother figure for me in the ballroom scene to be like, and I felt like that would be the type of person I would respect. And I feel like I now have that respect. So me earning my respect from ballroom is a highlight for me.
Wow.
That's mother figure.
Awesome. That's nice. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Now you just made it hard for the other two. All right. Dante.
So usually I would say, like, I used to say all the time the Latex Ball because that was like one of the biggest balls, and so winning that. But I would honestly say it was becoming the East Coast father for the house, and I say that because it was kind of like being able to see all of the work that I put in, like being rewarded for all that I had put in over the years. And one of the main things that has kept me in ballroom was being able to mentor and guide those that came after me. So being able to be acknowledged under that title and being able to continue to help just lead the next generation and even some in my generation, and the house having enough faith and belief in me to bestow that upon me.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. All right. And last but not least, Shannon.
So can't be the highlights because little known fact, I hate going to balls and I hate walking balls. I've always hated that. I've always hated balls. I've always hate walking balls, and people are shocked about
the way you be cutting up on that floor.
Let me tell you, I hate walking balls and I hate going to balls. I hate with a passion. But I would say that if a walking moment was the first time I walked Executive Realness, and one of my idols at the time, I got a chance to battle, and that was Clint. And I didn't think I should have won that night, but I won, and that was a highlight. The other one, to be honest, was not a ballroom moment, but it's one of those moments as a leader you come across all the time, and it kind of defines you. And my daughter had passed, Deja, probably remembers her, Shy, and when he was getting ready to pass, he asked for me. I went to the hospital and sat with him till he passed, and to be with his family and have the house pay for the funeral and have a service here in DC for him with all his friends and family for the ballroom to be there, and then for the whole house to follow his body down to South Carolina and bury him on his family plot. And the whole house was there was a moment for me. I was like, that's what it's about. So
you guys shared some really, really, really deep stuff. Thank you. I wasn't expecting these kind of answers. Dante, go ahead.
I already went.
Oh no, I thought you were saying something.
Oh no, I said okay. I was agreeing.
Okay. So also for people that's watching, feel free to share if you have comments or questions. Drop them right in the comment section. It will pop up on the screen. And also, if you see the email address going across the screen right now, if you have any topics you'd like to see us talk about, people you'd like to see on the panel, shoot us an email, capitalballroomcouncil@gmail.com, and we'll put it together for the next one. All right. So for my next question, substance use has been something that's been in the ballroom community for a while, right? Today we have things like crystal meth, we have G and others that's pretty much running rampant in the community. And in that we're also seeing a lot of members of our community struggling and sometimes losing their lives to addiction. So my question to you is, when having conversations with members in your house or members of the general community, how have you found it most useful or effective, rather, to intervene with someone is struggling with substance use? Whoever wants to start can start.
I think I'll start. With me being a little younger and younger but older, but around a lot of the younger generation of kids, I see it. The substance abuse has definitely grown really strong. So for me, it's a very sensitive and emotional topic, and it's something that you really have to enter with great sensitivity when you start entering conversation. Sometimes it's literally just sitting down with them when they're in their most vulnerable emotional state and having that conversation. And that really opens doors. Or really, for me, what works is expressing my experience with substance abuse, with people who've been in my family with substance abuse, or some of my close friends who may have passed from it, and opening up that conversation to let them know they can be vulnerable and emotional and sensitive with me kind of lets me help them with their substance abuse. But I think it's definitely something that, we're trying to get a hold of. I think education has definitely been out there. A lot of things have been offered, but really just being able to be open and honest with people is really going to be our way of really putting our hands around trying to control it.
Awesome. Thank you. Dante.
So I agree with everything that Jamel said. Definitely being open and honest and just again having real conversations with people and being non-judgmental in how you're talking to people and all of that. Like when I notice something is wrong with people, like again, I've been doing the work for like a long time. So there's certain signs that I notice, and then I like pull people aside, like, hey, what's going on? Just from oh wow. I didn't know that I could do that. Sorry.
he got a gag. He smiled.
Technology is great. Asking them, hey, what's going on? How you been? What's going on? And seeing if they're gonna open up to you, and if they're not, then maybe ask some probing questions. Like, I noticed such and such lately, because there are signs and signals, and we can probably put out some things that like some tips of how you can kind of tell when someone may be dealing with addiction and stuff later on a post or something. But noticing different signs and asking them what's going on and talking to them. Me myself, there was a time where I was really struggling with my anxiety and my depression, and I went through basically self-medicating. I was like drunk all the time, and everybody just thought that I just liked to drink, and that it was just this thing of me just being just sloppy drunk. It wasn't. It really actually was me trying to self-medicate and dealing with that, and in that it became an abuse of alcohol type of situation, which nobody really like caught on. People would just be like, "Child, why are you always getting so full?" Like da, 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 da. But nobody ever kind of said like, deeper, like what's really kind of going on. And even when a few people did, I kind of masked it and act like everything was okay for the most part. And so one day I just realized that, like, I was like in my room and it was just dark and I was laying there and I was just like, you're depressed. Like, you're really going through something. You got to talk to somebody. And so I like started seeking counseling and went to therapy and everything and was able to kind of work out of that. But yeah, so I think, for me, it's more so having that experience myself too. It helps me to have those conversations and telling people, like, hey, you're not in this alone and you're not by yourself. Like, I've been through stuff myself. So though I may be more together now, that doesn't mean that I haven't been through anything. And even if it's not alcohol, if it's drugs or whatever else, it's still some type of addiction. And you're not alone, and there's people here that can help you. And you don't want help from the people that we can get you resources to get you that help. And another big thing that I try to tell people in my house and outside of my house is, if especially youth that aren't doing drugs, don't experiment and have them experiment and trying things. Don't push that on them. Like, just because you're dealing with whatever, don't push that onto them because you haven't came to the realization of actually getting help. Because let's be honest, most times people who end up being addicted to things, even though some like to say they're not addicted or not abusing things, they are, and it's usually because there's a deeper issue that's going on that they're trying to not address. And again, self-medicating and trying to just push it out, but it's still there once the high, the drunk, or whatever is gone. So we just need more leaders and just more people to, for one, get help for themselves, but also don't push that on our youth because it's looking bad out here for them. And it's starting younger and younger.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to switch over to Deja.
So I'm a bit more stern about the situation.
Look at Shannon.
Especially when it comes to my trans women. The approach with them is very much, Miss Thing, you're gonna be hard. You keep putting that stuff in your nose. You're gonna look. No, I'm serious. Like, you're going to be hard putting out all that stuff in your nose. So all the surgeries and all the hormones you take in the world is not going to do anything for you. You continue to do these drugs. Because when I was a little girl, rode past the stroll, saw the girls on the straw, like, I'll never be a hoe. End up being a hoe. Going to the balls. Before I went to the balls, I used to watch people do this, sniff the coke on TV and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm never going to do that. That's not my thing. Child, my second ball, it was my thing. And it wasn't that some of these babies don't come into the scene going through nothing. They're not going through anything to where as though they need to do drugs. They're coming to the scene looking for a family. That's what they come to the scene looking for. They come looking for somebody that cares. And sometimes people that they bump into that actually care or seem to care or even give them some type of attention, they end up introducing them to drugs. And being a youngster, you're going to want to try new stuff. You're going to want to be in the in crowd. You're going to want to be a part of something. So if being a part of that something involves doing drugs, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And it's yes, it's your choice. But sometimes there's a whole lot of intimidation that goes on behind it. There's a lot of intimidation that goes on behind it. And I don't know where this new little meth thing come from. That's something new. It wasn't that visual or that much in numbers of people participating in that type of drug in the scene. So I'm a bit more stern about the situation. I know the road I went down, and I know that I could have had about 20 houses by now, but I spent it all on coke.
Well, you're not the only stern one. I'm going to transfer over to the sternest of them all.
I am a stern set. I am a stern set. I would say this. I call and those who've been around, I call myself the wet blanket. I know I can't go certain places because the girls may do things, and when they see me coming, I see them straighten up and hide their stuff. One, I take that as an honor, respect, and I appreciate that right there. As I told someone, drugs is something that is happening in our community, in everybody's house. No house is immune from it. No one's above it, regardless of what we think. It's in my house. It's in other people's houses. I know it's out there. I don't encourage it, and I don't think anyone does that. I don't encourage. So let me just say that one. But my approach to it is, I personally don't do drugs. My parents were drug addicts, and I was in foster care. The whole story right there. So that kind of shot me away from doing drugs. I never went down that because I saw he killed my mom, and I had a front row seat to see that. So my view was very constrained from that. Within the house, the kids in my house, I always tell them when I find out something, I'm the last person to know. That means everybody else knows when it gets to me. So when it gets to me, that means everybody knows, and they've tried to keep it away from me. And part of being a leader and a responsibility, because also when you're a leader, a role model, that people look up to you. And people, well, let me speak from the kids in my house that I know. They always want me to view them in the best light, no matter who they are. They always want me to view them in the best light. So they don't want me to know that they're doing drugs. They don't want me to know. They don't want me to hear anything. As far as they're concerned, they're the best group of kids in the world, and nobody's done anything. That aside, I know they carry. And when I find out about it, it's usually because I've seen a change in their behavior, or word has been back to me. I'm one of those people where I believe in a combination of tough love and also understanding and kind of empathy. So what I mean by tough love, there have been members in our house that have had drug problems, and as a group, we try to do an intervention, try to get them resources, to go to counseling, to be there for them, to do anything we can to make sure that they're not alone. We all know you can't change. If somebody doesn't want to change, I don't care what you want to do, they're going to find a way. And that's the hard thing. How do you make someone? So the few mechanisms I have in the house when someone's doing drugs is like, listen, we know these young kids want position. I can't give you a position with you going through that because you're not fully responsible. I can't do that, because you have some issues you need to take care of. And if you're going to be a role model, that's going to hurt you being a role model because you got things to deal with in your life. And that's a real big problem that you need to take care of. We want to help you through that. That's really the only love I have. I don't believe in kicking someone out the house because they have a drug problem. That's the wrong thing to do. That just pushes them back to drugs. But at the same time, you can't put them into in that situation where it's out there. Their friends do it. And we all know the people that do that. Then I was like, hey, cover the big they're gonna be on drugs. I try to steer them away from it, but every now and then someone falls through the cracks. And at the end of the day, they are adults. Like I told, my rule is don't come to my house and doing it. I don't want to see it. I really don't want to know about it. If I find out about it, I'm gonna bring it right to you. Like I tell a sex siren, you can't walk that no more because you look like you on crack. Now what's going on?
Yeah.
You gotta give them the tough look because they're gonna lie to me when I bring it up. Are you doing drugs? No, I'm not. No, I know you're doing drugs. And so you want to walk this category, you have this self-worth that you think you're this self-inflate that you're seeing right now. Your body's not there. You can't do that. Let's talk about the real issue. You doing Tina and you carrying on right here, and you doing these sex tapes. You think I don't know? So what's going on? Oh, you seen them? Yes, I seen the move you made. So
what's Tina? Can you tell us what Tina is for those that's watching?
That's crystal meth. That's the girls know what Tina is.
Everybody doesn't know, We gotta.
Well, shoot, it's I'm like, well, girl, say it. Should answer like crystal meth. Well, I'm be honest with you. I am not savvy, and I say this to Deja and to Dante because I deal with this on the everyday. Y'all see firsthand. I'm always amazed when I hear what the next, what kids are doing out there. Well, I even think what people are doing out there. They ain't even kids. What people are doing out there. And I just gagged. Like I didn't know they were shooting Tina. I was like, wow. That was a whole different level right there. I was like, wow, this is, and I will say, just as we had one member who was on Tina, I didn't know the effects, how bad it was, how mentally, until actually the person had painted the apartment red and spelt my name all over the wall and was sending me pictures about, why have I forsaken him and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, this is a real mind-blowing, this is serious. This ain't like, this person's going through some stuff and I don't know how to help them. And, And then we tried to go to the law, and the only thing the police said, well, you can get them arrested, which is not the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't force them to go to rehab. The only thing they can do is catch them with paraphernalia and arrest them and just take them to jail. That I wouldn't do anyone let to any loved one. I'm not going to do that. That right. So, you know, how do you help someone if that doesn't want to help themselves? And you just watch the slow demise, the spiraling down, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad. Yeah. No, that's the issue with, especially with crystal meth right now, because that's really the one that we're all talking about. That's really popular. It's really heartbreaking to see how, you know, there's some people that are at the top of their game, so to speak, and they get involved with crystal meth and they go down so fast. And a lot of times they don't, you know, some of my work I work in that arena, and sometimes they don't even realize, like when you said that thing, Shannon, that they want to walk sex siren, but they don't realize what they look like. A lot of people that I've dealt with, they don't realize. They would swear to me, "Oh, you didn't know," and I'm like, "Yes, I did."
That's why I carry a mirror.
100 pounds in a week. I know you're not always that way. But they don't know. You know, I do a presentation, and maybe one day I'll do it virtually. I know Deja and Jamel have been through crystal meth and the effects it has on the brain and your thought process and all that kind of stuff. It's something. And you know, I'm a firm believer of knowledge is the best way we can do it, because people are going to do what they want to do. But if we're around them and we have a basic core knowledge of the drug and what it does, you would be better equipped to help somebody, you know, that's struggling, because you'll understand a little bit more, because a lot of us don't understand it, and then in trying to help somebody, we cause more stigma, be judgmental, and you don't realize how that, like Shannon said, it just won't let you know. You know what I mean? So thank you all for sharing. Thank you for sharing. This actually segues great into the next question about mental health. You know, mental health can show up in many forms. You know, Dante, thank you for sharing earlier about, you know, depression and drinking and some of those other things. So, you know, my question that I have for you all is, what are some ways you have effectively become involved in ensuring your members' mental health is addressed? Like, when you see someone having mental health issues, or you know, how as a leader are you encouraging better mental health practices?
So for me, one of the things I do is, like I just today, is I'm extremely transparent with the fact that, you know, I have been diagnosed with depression and anxiety disorder, because I feel like one of the biggest things that happened to me when I first started having anxiety attacks, I didn't know what the hell was going on. The first time it happened, I thought I was having a heart attack, and like was scared to death. And they told me that it was like, no, actually the first time I went, they couldn't figure out what was going on. It was like, well, everything is going so like, we're going to go ahead and let you go. And then it happened again, and the doctor was like, you're having anxiety attacks. And I didn't know what that was. Like, we don't talk about that in the community. And so I was just like, okay, what is that? So as he explained it, I remembered Terry from Soul Food on the HBO version of it. She used to have them, and I was like, oh, and I'm about to be like in a corner, like crying and like going through it, which actually was happening some of the times. And so one of my biggest things was, at some point I was like, okay, I'm just gonna say something about it, like, because I know some people are wondering why. Like, I stopped going to balls for the most part at one point. So when I took a break, that's why I took a break from like ballroom. Like, I didn't want to be around a lot of people. I really kind of disassociated myself from a lot of people I was close to for the most part. I would come up with excuses of why I couldn't make it places, because I had this anxiety about being around people. So finally I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and just like put it out there. And so I put it out there, and my gay brother hit me up and was like, I had them too. And then someone else messaged me and was like, oh my gosh, I had them too. And then like it became this thing where people started commenting on the post and everything, and people started hitting me up and like asking me questions and asking for help and where could they go and what could they do. At one point I felt like I was almost like a spokesperson for it, but I didn't mind, because I know my biggest thing was I felt like I was alone when I first started having it. I thought something, I didn't know what was going on with me. And I was like, I know there has to be other people out there that feel the same exact way. So I think one of the biggest things is, you know, being transparent if you do suffer with something, and having those conversations with people, letting them know that they're not the only one. Again, having resources or being able to know people with resources that can help get people into like therapy or something like that if that's what they need. And there are places within our city, especially, that can get free services. So that's what I've done. I've talked to them about, therapy. I profess and I speak on therapy to I feel like almost everyone who is Black or a person of color, and especially if you're LGBTQ plus as well, there's some type of trauma there. There's something there that you didn't get through, and you might not even realize that it's trauma that you went through and going through it, but it's there and it weighs on people and it shows up in different ways. And a lot of times we wonder why a lot of people in our community act the way they do. And a lot of times it's because of what has happened to them and they've never been able to directly deal with it. So I think therapy is great for basically anyone. So I advocate for that like all the time, and find them resources basically.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's very important to be transparent and, resources. Resources are important. Remember, if anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the comment section. We'll get them up. I'm going to go to Deja.
Well, I take hormones, so I'm already a mental health case. So, but how do I address it in my house and in the community? I'm going to piggyback off of what Dante was saying, especially the part where he said some people don't even know that they're having a mental health breakdown. And with that being said, that's where the drugs sometimes comes in at. They're going through these mental health situations in their life, and they don't have the resources that they need, and they don't have the support that they need while they're going through these things, and so they turn to drugs. So the way I approach the mental health situation is that you have to be very delicate with it, because you don't want people feeling like you think they're crazy or something. Because anytime you approach Black people with maybe something going on in here, they talking about, oh, you trying to say I'm crazy. But you're not. It's not the fact that you're crazy. It's just that you're really going through something and you need support with it. So that's what I try to instill into the kids and some of the adults that I case manager time, is that you can have mental health issues, and there are always that you can take care of them and get support with that. And I have to link just with that. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. I am going to have the last two, and then we got a question. Oops, I removed him by mistake. Jamel. There you go.
Yes. I think one, I would have to piggyback off of my counterparts, Deja and Dante, by one saying self-awareness. I think that's super important when you are able to acknowledge what's going on with you. And you may not be able to identify it, meaning pinpoint exactly what it is, but you are aware that something is going on with you. And then number two, I would have to say self-education as well. Being able to, once you see like, okay, maybe there is something going on with me, and then trying to get the knowledge of maybe what it is. And that could be through talking with someone, talking with one of your friends, doing some possible research online, pulling up different words that may have been mentioned, or maybe different therapeutic methods that may work for you. And then, of course, resources. And sometimes some people may not understand where to get the resources from, but it's always great to have those type of people around you that you're talking to and ask them questions. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I think those three things are probably the key things. And then being able to be open and honest and delicate and sensitive and all those things, because again, those will lead up to you possibly creating some type of solution for yourself. But again, self-awareness and self-education is super important when handling, dealing with, going through it yourself. and just, being ready and being open to hear and listen as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Shannon.
So you kind of gotta agree with Dante on this, and I don't suffer from anxiety. One of the things I do, and like my close friends know, and I deal with bipolar disorder. And one of the things that my challenge has been over the years since being diagnosed like 91 was first being on medication. And for some of the older girls who know, they have me on with lithium and Elavil and then Cinequan. And I was going through it, because I would get these manic attacks and then they want to slow me down. And then I would go into depression and then they try to pull me back out again. So going with bouts of that. So for me, I've always been a listening ear for members in the house, but it's always a battle for my own self. Like one thing I have to do all the time, everything I do, I have to question myself, and not in a way of doubting what I do, but it's so easy for a manic attack to come where when I was younger it was bad. I would just get up and move, literally come home from work and be like, come on, Whitney, we're moving. Pack everything up, we're moving right now. And we just pack everything and just go. Just move. Just pack everything U-Haul and go. And a manic, which is crazy to be doing that, but now it's in little things that I've kind of managed where something that people take simple everyday stuff, and those who know me, like I have to buy something. Every day I have to buy something. If you know, you follow, I have to go to the store and buy something, even if I gotta buy, and then I have to question myself when I get to the store: do I need this? Do I really want? And this comes from therapy, where I have to, so I won't spend the money on doing things or do something. Do I really need to go here? Do I really need to? Like last night, for some reason, I wanted to buy a ticket to Mexico, so I felt I needed to get away, and I had to call somebody like, I want to go to Mexico. Do you like? No, don't do this. Don't do that. Or I want to drive up to New York, or just kind of. So it's always a battle with me going through that. And on the verse side is the depression. Like people will follow me, they'll know I'll go black on social media for a while. Where even the house, they're like, "What happened? Shannon's gone." Like I get into depression, and I think I talked about it a couple of weeks ago about my seasonal depression that I get that happens around the holidays. It just hits me real hard. I got to put myself out of it. But I learned to deal with it, and I talk about it. I don't talk about it as publicly as actually it's like one of the few times I've talked about it publicly. But the members know, and I talk to them about it, and I encourage them to talk to me about their problems because there's nothing wrong with having anxiety or bipolar or depression. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong, and I think that's the first thing growing up. One of the challenges that my parents would say, get yourself together, pull up out of it, always do that. And it wasn't always that easy, like, and you start questioning, well, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And, but you can't, that's something that you have to deal with. But it's okay. It is okay. There's help, there's resources out there. You're not alone. So I think when people hear that, they feel comfort and they're willing to open up and talk to you about their things. I think more of the bigger challenges that we've been dealing with is kind of like people feeling suicidal. And then we don't know the signs and we can't reach them. That always hits me hard because, everybody's going through something, but they can't talk about it, or they feel they don't talk. How do you reach out to them if you don't know the signs? And it's heartbreaking when we read someone on Facebook who killed themselves or in a house and we didn't know, we could have helped them. So my encouragement is, if you feel that way, talk to someone and people will talk to you about anything. That's what worries me most. How do we reach those people that are asymptomatic mental health issues?
Right. Thank you for sharing. That's some really interesting stuff. So I'm gonna bring up this. Oh, go ahead, Dante. Go.
I just want to say, I think it was Deja that said the thing about you're not crazy. I think that's one of the biggest things that people should understand too. You're not crazy, and then Shannon said it too. Understanding you're not crazy, and it's okay. Like, and it's okay to get help. And I know a lot of people, especially like people like older than us, our elders, probably y'all's parents and grandparents too. Like they would say, like, "Oh, child, like he gonna be all right. He just crazy. Or she just crazy." And it's brushed off because mental health isn't really talked about as much in our community. But understanding that you're not crazy, and like Shannon said, it's okay. It's okay to get help. Just knowing you're not crazy, and don't brush it off on your friends and your family. come to you and they're saying different things to you, understand and listen to what they're actually saying, because sometimes that could be them calling out to you and trying to get you to understand and trying to get your help. And if you're pushing it off or saying the wrong thing, it's kind of sounding judgmental in your response to them when they're coming to you for it. That may be the only time they even are willing to say something about it. You might have just missed them.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a leader, the quicker you notice that you see signs of mental health, the better. Because you have some of these babies that already come to the scene diagnosed, already on medication. But guess what? They're no longer taking their medication because guess what? They're busy focused on the scene and their new girlfriends and trying to become this and trying to become that. I don't need no pills, girl. What pills? So it's better if you catch it or try to notice it before it's too late.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And get them babies back on that medication.
Yeah.
And weed out the ones that think they're crazy, but they're not crazy, and they just trying it, and you got to pull them together. Like, listen, we're not doing that. You're not that one. Sit down.
Yeah.
Trying it. All right. Well, I'm gonna pop up the next question. This is a question for anybody. Is there a difference in services you get from DC versus Maryland agency? Where would you refer your friend in need to go?
It is a difference in some of the services. The crossover, mostly DC ones may cross over. Maryland not so much. They're a little bit stricter. There's a lot less services in Maryland than it is in DC. Refer your friend and need to go to. I think that would depend on what they're dealing with. Honestly, I think one of the things we can do is put out the resources and something like that in a post or something like that for people to be able to have a resource. But I mean, if y'all want to share places too, y'all can. But I think what it is that they're in need of help of.
I'm definitely going to piggyback off of Dante, but I'm definitely going to say that DC offers quite a large assortment of different programs. DC has so many different agencies, so many different people, so many different, like, tons and tons of resources. Maryland does have them, and I think even now more so with COVID being as rampant as it is, Maryland is starting to offer a little bit more, but DC definitely, for me, is definitely going to offer you a lot more resources than anything. And then again, you can always reach out to us at the Ballroom Council on our Facebook page and or our Gmail.
I was gonna make the plug.
And you will definitely, we have a lot of Kenya is very well connected. I think everybody on this panel is pretty much well connected. And if we don't know, we know somebody who knows that can get you or your friend to the resource they may need or the powers that may be.
Yep.
Shannon Davis.
Our services better. Our services different from DC and Maryland, yes, especially for trans women in DC. There's a lot of resources here for trans women, especially for trans women who aren't trying to transition or trying to complete their transition. Also, Maryland is different when it comes to the medication ways, though. What may be expensive for you in Maryland might not be that expensive in DC because you have grants and resources and other things that will help you pay for that medication. So all it takes is a good resource, but DC has the best, I would say.
Shannon?
And just to piggyback right off of Deja, I'm sorry, Uncle Shannon. What I really wanted to say was, I understand that there's a process to everything, and process takes time. So always be patient, you know what I mean, and have that. And don't feel like you're going through this alone. You have a partner or someone that you could trust, or even if it's one of us that you reach out to, that we're definitely going to hold your hand through the process, because it's not an easy process sometimes, especially when you're going through something. You want something expeditiously, you want it quickly, and sometimes we can't get it that way, and we need that person for encouragement and uplifting and all those things. So know that you're not going by yourself, but it's always a process.
Yes, you have to take the moans before you get the breaths.
Shannon, you have anything you want to add into?
Well, like I said, DC has better resources. Maryland, and part of DC is a city, and cities tend to have more resources. Maryland, the only city they have is, big city like will be Baltimore, and I'm not familiar with Baltimore resources. But DC is definitely, and you know what? The counties like that because they know that it's less money on them because they can go into DC and get the services.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, also again, like what Jamel said earlier, you can inbox anybody on the screen. You can inbox DC Black Pride, Capital Ballroom Council, La Maison, or email us at capitalballroomcouncil@gmail.com. We'll definitely get some resources out to you. Very good question. Thank you for that. All right, so we're on our last question, y'all. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Last question. If you had one thing to say to members of the general ballroom community during these times, what would it be? And I am going to start with Dante.
One thing to say to members of the general ballroom community during these times, what would it be? Y'all know I can't say just one thing, but
say two.
The most important thing I would say is just take care of yourselves and take care of each other. These are difficult times that we're going through, but this is the first time that we have been through difficult times. I believe someone said it earlier, we are resilient people. We've seen and been through plenty and still came out on top because honestly, the cards were never really stacked in our favor to begin with. So we know how to make it through tough times. So reach out to your brothers and sisters, hold on to them, lift them up, don't tear them down. Wear your mask, wash your hands. If you ain't gotta go somewhere for real and it's not gonna mess you up, don't go. I do understand though, and we didn't touch on this earlier, that some people who have this thing, they get depressed, and we were just talking about depressed sitting at home by themselves and they need that human interaction. So if you are having that human interaction, just please make sure that the people in which you're having this interaction with are taking the same precautionary measures that you are so that you and them can both be safe. But just take care of yourself and each other, love on each other. That's all I got.
Thank you for that. I am going to flip it over to Shannon.
Yep, I need some coin first. Good. So what would I tell them? Well, obviously I would tell them what I tell the members of the house. Don't be stingy with your stuff. You can't take it with you.
You know what?
No, that's what I would tell them. I would tell them that. I would. The girls go around giving stuff away real free. No, be stingy with your stuff right now. You need to be stingy. And I would say this: if you're lonely, reach out. I find myself. I always say this that I'm socially media awkward. It's almost like I'm on the spectrum when it comes to social media. And I mean that in a way that I'm one of those people that if I'm looking at someone and communicate, I can have a great conversation. If you text me or hit me on social media, I come across as the rudest, meanest person in the world because I can't see expressions and I can't feel vibe. So it throws me off. I don't know how to respond because I can't read the person. Mm-hmm. So for me like that, one of the things I found works best for me, I have been a big avid of video chat, which Kenya knows now. I love to video chat everyone. I got every platform. I even got an iPhone now, so I could FaceTime. I got a Droid, so I could do what the Joy track, whatever that is, Joy Duo. I FaceTime. I do Facebook chat, everything. WhatsApp. I love chatting because I can talk, and it makes me feel connected to people when I see them. Hell, I talk to everybody on video chat. You call me, I'm going to talk to you. I got nothing to do. So that's one of the things to do. I know it's hard when you miss interaction. One of the things I found out for me, and I'm not sure if there are a lot of other people that feel this way, and this goes back to Dante with anxiety. I never had anxiety before, but now when I get into large groups, I start getting real anxious the moment I get into a group. So I've noticed that for the last few times I've tried to go out and be around people, and once I get there, I have to leave. I have to go. I can't. I feel like I'm going to catch something or it's in here and I got to get out of there. So I don't know if other people feel that way. It's something to deal with, but I think that came out of this COVID thing. Like I'm just so paranoid of getting COVID. You want contact, but you don't know how safely. So it's challenging. It's challenging, but reach out to people, talk, and you can't be scared to be in the house. You have to go out. Even if it's just go for a walk, you got to get out. I force myself to go out, to walk the track, to do something, to get out the house. Yeah, it's one of those things.
You know, it's funny. Before I move on to the other two, you said something like, you know, and I've been an advocate, and I've been saying this since like March. Like, we are going to have a huge amount of people experiencing PTSD after COVID. It's if you didn't address your mental health issues before, baby, she's going to be well bigger now because there's so many other things that you have to process because there's a fear of going outside, but then you're also going through mental health issues by staying inside. So what do? You know, people don't. Yeah. So you know, PTSD, mental health, very important. All right, I'm going to switch over to Jamel. Oops, it didn't go for you. There you go.
I would have to say, well, I'm never the person that's like Dante. That's one word to say, but love yourself and be your brother and your sister's keeper. And you know that what that is just literally like if it's just a quick text message or a phone call just to check on someone and say hi, or you know what you're doing, or you know whatever the case may be. It's important to do those things. Just so that people are still in communication with the rest of the world. Right now, a lot of us feel alone, and we're alone because we're quarantined in the house, so we can't go anywhere. Or like Uncle Shannon, where you know we don't want to catch COVID, so we're kind of like in the house, and that builds so many different other things and other issues along with it. But you know, be your brother's keeper and communication.
Yeah. Also, want to jump back. Shannon is the only person that I call. I call Shannon. I call my father. Everybody else gets a text because Shannon would pay my texts.
Yeah. If you text me or send me an email, I would never get it. I'm old school. You got to call me.
I'll pick it up. That's the only two people I call.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, the Asian.
Wear deodorant and curry gum.
Yeah. Yeah, because girls got you can smell it through the mask.
Wear deodorant and carry gum.
But no, I mean the gentleman.
Yeah, I was like, maybe she has to that. It says she outside. I guess.
The gentleman basically summed it up. Love on each other. Also, watch the news. Know what's going on in your community.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us that do not tune into the news.
Yes.
But we really need to watch the news and get into what's going on in your world.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch the news. Be aware. I'm an advocate for that. I'm always aware. I'm a news junkie.
Well, it's going to change now. Trump's gone, so the season finale happens.
Season finale is going to be boring boots in the news now. You know, I reactivated my Twitter just so I could follow what he says.
It's boring.
It's not going to watch what he's saying.
Yeah, I have not watched it in 2 days.
What you say, Dante?
I was gonna say, speaking of which, for those in this area, you know, there is a Make America Great, a million.
Oh yeah, Saturday.
America Great Again March. This happening this weekend on Saturday in DC. So if you are out and around the area, just watch us around.
Stay in the house.
Should we go participate? Wait. Let's be very fair. There are Republicans in ballroom.
They are.
I don't think they're Republicans. I think they just want attention.
No. They're Republicans in ballroom. Yes. They're quiet.
Republicans in ballroom?
Yes. Yes. They are.
People.
Yes. And some are donors.
Trump supporters.
Yes. No, I want to say, and you know what? And they're fearful about it because we've talked about it. They're fearful because they don't want the community to go back on them. But yes, there are Trump supporters in the ballroom.
Legends and icons.
I have seen some, and it's the craziest thing ever to me. But that's a whole nother topic. So I want to
Legends and icons are Trump supporters. You gotta be careful. All right. Well, thank you all for this conversation. I just want to spend an hour just talking about some things. Thank you all again. I can't thank you enough. Anybody out there that's watching, if you have any topics again or people that you think we should bring on this conversation, email us at capitalballroomcouncil@gmail.com. And you know, stay safe out there. Just stay safe, stay sane. And we'll get through this. It's gonna come to an end. Thank you, everybody. Oh, wait, we have one more comment. Hold on. Someone said, really? Yeah. All right, everybody. Stay safe. Talk to you later. Bye.